everyone, it's Brittany Bookworm. Welcome to my channel. This is my first ever YouTube video. I've uploaded a lot over on Instagram, some TikToks, and a couple of shorts here, but I've never done a long form YouTube video before, so I thought it was about time. Today I'm going to be looking at all of the books I've read so far, so January and February of 2024. I'm thinking of maybe making this a monthly occurrence where I talk about all of the books I read that month and giving you some insight and some links to check those books out. As always, books that I recommend have full reviews over on my Instagram that will be linked in the description. You can go check those out. The first book I'll be discussing is the first book I read this year, which was All the Light We Cannot See by Anthony Doerr. I thoroughly enjoyed this book. Something that you'll learn about me is that I love books set in World War II, regardless of the country that it's set in. But this book was fantastic. It followed the story of a young girl named Marie-Laure Leblanc and her father as they occupied Paris and escaped to Saint Malo, where it is still occupied, but they do have a better living situation there, or so they thought. I really did enjoy it. I recommend it. There is a review on my Instagram for this book. Up next, we have Brave New World. This is an older book. Hi, Samantha. This is an older book. I read it back in high school and I remember being intrigued by it, so I wanted to give it another shot as an adult. I think it's an important read. I think that everybody should give it a try, but the writing was not my favorite. I didn't do a full review of it because I figured it wasn't important to. It was good. If you like dystopian drama, if you like things like that, I definitely recommend giving it a shot. Next up is Little Fires Everywhere by Celeste Ng. I loved this book. It's out of my typical genre, but it was still amazing. It follows the story of a single mom and her daughter and how they enter a new town, Shaker Heights, and how they throw that town through a loop. I absolutely enjoyed it. I know there's a show on Hulu. I have not seen it. I do know it varies from the book, so if you're interested, I would definitely recommend checking this book out. Next up is The Heart's Invisible Furies by John Boyne. I did not think I would like this book until about halfway through. I struggled to get through it. I think that only really came from the fact that it's told from the perspective of a young boy who is discovering himself, and I just couldn't relate to it. But as I got further into the book, I will tell you that it gripped me. I enjoyed it so much. It broke my heart. It made me angry, it made me happy, I cried. The whole last page of this book I sobbed. I definitely recommend it. Up next we have Our Narrow Hiding Places by Christopher Jansma. I liked this book. Again, it was set in World War II. I'm a broken record. I love books set in that time frame. This one was in Holland. It is an eARC that I did receive on NetGalley. All opinions are my own. I recommend this book. It follows a woman through her childhood in occupied Holland, and as she becomes an adult and has flashbacks to that time and how it affects her daily relationships in her older life. I found it absolutely fantastic. It will be out in August of 2024. I recommend pre-ordering it. It is worth it if you like books in that time period. It is very well written and I think you'll enjoy it. Up next is a book called Wild World by Peter S. Roth. It magically disappeared from my Kindle, so I can't show it to you, but it is about a man who is very angered by the National Guard killings of multiple protesters at Kent State University, and his idea to neglect going to law school in order to become a police officer and fight police brutality and corruption from the inside out, and what that means for him and the dangers that he gets himself into. If that sounds interesting to you, it is on Kindle Unlimited, and I do recommend you give it a shot. Up next is a book that I did not think I was going to like, but it was recommended to me by multiple people, including one of my high school English teachers, and that book is Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldree. I fell in love with this book. I did not know cozy fantasy was a thing. This was the first book that I willingly read as an adult that I didn't expect to make me cry or have some sort of deep, meaningful thought process about, and I do not regret it. It was fantastic. It made me happy. It made me want more of these characters. I definitely recommend it if you like fantasy and you want something that's a little more low stakes. Very cute, very nice. loved it. Up next, we have a book that I'm never going to shut up about, and that is Outdrawn by Deanna Gray. Oh, this book, I'm not a huge romance reader outside of like romantasy, but this book was fantastic. It's contemporary. It is about two college rivals that end up working together as artists for a comic company. And I mean, it's on the cover, so it's not a spoiler. It's an enemies to lovers, so they end up together. It was so cute. I recognized so much of myself in Sage, one of the main characters, and I definitely recommend it if you like romance, if you like contemporary books. It was fantastic. Up next is Through Her Lens by Melissa Clark Bacon. It is an ARC I did receive through NetGalley. All opinions are my own. I definitely recommend it. It is set during World War II. As a young woman, Millicent Trayford is working for British intelligence in order to find the vengeance weapons that the Nazis were rumored to be preparing that would cause mass destruction and casualties. It has a strong female main character, and if that is your thing, I definitely recommend checking it out. Next up, we have Take My Hand by Dolan Perkins Valdez. I loved this book. This book follows Sybil Townsend, a brand new nurse, as she gets a job at a family planning clinic that serves women who would otherwise not have access to family planning services. And she finds out that regardless of what else is going on in the country, racial targeting is still happening. And this book goes very into depth about reproductive rights and anything of the sort. It was amazing, and to me it's a required read. I think everybody should read this book. Up next, we have No Better Time by Sheila Williams. It was another ARC provided by NetGalley. All opinions will be my own. I loved this book. It was about the women of the 6,888th Central Postal Directory Battalion, who are a group of all Black women, and they were stationed in Europe to navigate thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of pieces of mail that belonged to soldiers that were fighting on the front lines all throughout Europe. I don't have a lot to say about this book. I recommend it. Set in World War II. I'm a broken record. Again, I will talk about World War II books all of the time. It's my favorite era to read about. It was amazing. I just loved it. Next up, we have Green Dot by Madeline Gray. It was an ARC that I received through NetGalley, and while it's outside my typical genre, Madeline Gray kept me engaged the entire time. I did not like the main character. I did not relate to her. I thought that a lot of the actions taken in the book were not good. But the writing was fantastic, and it kept me entertained and engaged in characters that I otherwise would not have been. So if it is in your genre, I would recommend giving it a shot. It just came out on February 27th. Next up, we have Black Cake by Charmaine Wilkerson, one of my favorite books that I've ever read. It follows Byron and Benny as they have a voice recording given to them by their mother's lawyer after her death, where she reveals her life story, a life that they had no idea about. It is fantastic. It covers a lot of important topics. I tore through this book in 2 days, and I will recommend it again to everybody I can talk to. Up next, we have As Long as the Lemon Trees Grow by, excuse me if I'm saying this wrong, but Zolfa Cato. I absolutely loved this book as well. It takes place in Syria during the Syrian Revolution / Civil War, as the Free Syrian Army is fighting for the rights of the Syrian people against the military. This book is heartbreaking. It's heavy, it's detailed, and it was amazing. I will recommend it to anybody who likes the genre. It was fantastic. I don't have much more to say about it. I do have a full review on my Instagram, but again, I do recommend it. Up next is another NetGalley ARC. All opinions are my own. This book has some time before it comes out, and the publisher has asked not to do full reviews until a month before release. Release is in April of 2023. I'm a little early, so I won't do a full review, but I will talk about Finally Fits by Marissa Cantor. I enjoyed it. It was cute. It was outside my normal genre, but I do recommend it to people who like the romance genre, especially in your 20s, you're learning, you're growing. It was great. I liked it. And last but not least, the last book that I read in February of 2024 is When the World Goes Quiet by, excuse me if I'm mispronouncing, Jean Sardar. This is set in occupied Belgium during World War I. Different time period for me, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. This book comes out on March 1st of 2024, and it follows Evelyn as she lives in a world where she's having to do her best. She's having to keep the peace with her occupiers. She's having to take care of her husband, who's missing in action, take care of her husband's family. She has a lot of hats to wear while she discovers who she is and what she really wants. I loved this book. I love the author. I definitely recommend picking it up. It will be available on Kindle. It was my Amazon First Reads choice for February, so I got it a little early. I recommend checking out Amazon First Reads, by the way. If you don't already have it, you are missing out. And those are all of the books that I read the first 2 months of 2024. Thank you for being here for my first video ever. I'm hoping to be able to do this a little more often. But yeah, if you have any suggestions or ideas for me, I would recommend leaving those in the comments. I will be reading them. And you can check out my Instagram. Again, it will be linked in the description below. And all of the books today, if they are available for purchase or pre-order, I will be listing those in the description below. They will be Amazon affiliate links, so using those links will help me out a little bit to be able to keep doing what I'm doing, keep reading, keep spreading the word about books that I enjoy. Thank you. Have a great day.